The puppy who guarded the moon asterisk, Lumi, was a small puppy with a nose like a warm button and paws the size of cookies. He lived at the edge of a village where roofs looked like sleeping hats and chimneys yawned thin ribbons of smoke. Every evening, when dinner dishes clinked and bedtime stories rustled like leaves, Lumi liked to sit by the old willow tree and watch the moon climb into the sky. The moon did not rush. It rose slowly, like a lantern being lifted by careful hands. Lumi always wagged his tail when he saw it. The moon was a gentle friend, round and calm, and it made the whole world feel tucked dash and dot one evening. As the first crickets tuned their tiny violins, Lumi noticed something strange. The moon was pale, yes, but it was also flickering, as if a sigh had run across its face. A thin gray veil seemed to pass over it, like a cloud with its shoelaces untied. Lumi tilted his head. He stood up. He trotted closer to the willow and placed his paws on the curved root that made a perfect lookout. The moon flickered again. "Are you all right?" Lumi whispered. Puppies do not often speak to moons, but sometimes, when a heart is tender and a night is listening, words can find their way. A moth drifted by, as slow as a falling petal. The pond made its soft breathing sounds. From the middle of the willow, a thread of silver uncurled. It was so thin and light that Lumi thought it might be a spider's string after a rain. The thread floated down and touched his nose. It felt cool, like a friendly snowflake. "Lumi," said a voice, soft as milk. "You see me." Lumi's ears perked up. "Moon." The thread trembled, and for a moment the moon brightened, not in his eyes, but in his chest. "The night is kind," the voice said, "but there are shadows that grow greedy. They try to sip my light, not to be mean, only because they forget they have their own glow." Lumi's tail stopped wagging. He knew about greedy things. He had met a greedy broom once. It tried to eat all the dust, but only made storms. Greed made a mess. "How can I help?" asked Lumi. The thread of silver settled on his paw. It was lighter than a feather. "Would you keep watch?" the moon asked. "Not to fight, only to notice. The most important guard is the one who sees." "I can see," Lumi said, brightening. He was very good at seeing squirrels, even when they pretended to be leaves. Then, "Little one," the moon said, "stand where the willow's roots make a circle. Breathe in slowly. Count the fireflies as they wake. When a shadow grows too loud, tell it a quieter story." Lumi blinked. "I do not know any stories." "You know many," said the moon. "You know the story of your beating heart. You know the story of every time you got up after falling. Tell those. They are brave." Lumi took a breath. It filled him like warm soup. He looked at the circle of roots. It was there, a perfect ring, like a nest made for paws. "I will keep watch," he said. "I promise." Promises are gentle ropes. They tie hearts to hopes so they do not drift away. When Lumi made his promise, the silver thread wrapped around his forepaw. It did not bind. It rested, like a ribbon after a gift is opened. The moon sighed, and the sky seemed to smooth its blanket. "Thank you, Lumi. Tonight will be your first watch." Lumi stood inside the circle. He tried to stand very tall, but he was still a little puppy, so he was exactly as tall as he truly was. That is the best way to be tall. He looked around. The world was a soft ball of sounds. Hushed wind in the grass, a distant barn door thumping once, then dreaming again. His village windows were squares of honey. A cat crossed a fence with careful feet. Somewhere, a child laughed in a sleepy way. Lumi counted the fireflies. 1, 2, 3. Each one lit up like a tiny hello. He counted 4, 5, 6, and soon he felt the numbers place themselves like pillows in his mind. The counting made his breathing slow and calm. He liked that dot. Then the first shadow came. It wasn't a big, stomping shadow. It was a thin one, the kind that slips between fence boards and tries to grow taller by standing on tiptoe. It slid across the grass like smoke that had forgotten how to be warm. "Hello," Lumi said. His voice was soft. "I can see you," The shadow paused. It had no face, but if it had, it might have looked surprised. I am keeping watch, said Lumi, not to scold, only to notice. You are very thin. Are you hungry? The shadow quivered, then stretched toward the moon. The moon dimmed, as if someone had cupped a hand around a candle. Lumi remembered the moon's words. Tell it a quieter story. He searched inside himself for a story that was true. He found one, small and bright. When I was even smaller, he said, I tried to climb the porch steps too fast. I slipped. My paws skidded. I bumped my chin. I cried. I felt like I would never climb again. But I tried once more. I took one step. I waited. I took another. The steps did not get smaller, but my courage grew bigger. Soon, I was on the porch. My person said, There you are, brave pup. It felt like a sunrise. Lumi did not know if the shadow could hear him, but he told the story anyway. As he spoke, the fireflies blinked in a slow, matching rhythm. As if they were nodding, the shadow stopped stretching. It gathered itself like a ribbon someone had dropped, and then, with a small sigh, it folded back into the fence line and became only night again. The moon brightened a little. The silver thread on Lumi's paw warmed like a tiny cup of tea. That was good, said the willow, in a voice of leaves. Lumi startled. He had never heard the tree speak. Your story did not push. It invited. Lumi liked that. He wagged. He took another soft breath. He kept counting the fireflies, not to make them many, but to make time gentle. More shadows came. One was shaped like a long finger. Another was like a torn coat. They all reached toward the moon with different ways of wanting. To each, Lumi offered a story. He told them about the day he made friends with a shy snail by moving slowly beside it and not barking. He told them about the thunderstorm that scared him until he discovered that thunder and drums have the same heartbeat. He told them about the time he lost his favorite stick and found a better one, not because it was bigger, but because it fit his mouth just right. With every story, the shadows sank back into their proper places, under the bench, along the path, behind the bucket. A shadow is not bad. It just forgets where to rest. By midnight, the moon had stopped flickering. It was still a little pale, but it seemed less worried. Lumi's paws felt steady. His eyes felt brave and also sleepy, in a kind way, like when a blanket is heavy enough to feel safe, but light enough to let dreams in. A breeze came down the hillside. It smelled like mint and clean rain. You are doing well, it said. This must have been the wine guide the moon had mentioned. Hello, Lumi whispered. I am trying. The wine guide circled him once and then sat beside him, which is a very polite thing for a wind to do. There is more to learn, it said, but learning is a path that does not hurry. Tonight, you learn noticing, and you learn stories. Soon you will learn listening. The river of quiet will help. The river of quiet, Lumi repeated. The name felt nice in his mouth. It made his tongue feel cool, like he had sipped from a silver cup. Listen. The wind tilted its ear toward the far field. Lumi tilted his too. At first he heard only the regular night, crickets, the pond, a sleepy horse adjusting its weight. Then he heard something else, far away and soft, like a song someone hums when they forget they are singing. It was the river. It sounds gentle, Lumi said. It is, said the wind. But gentle does not mean weak. The gentlest rivers are the ones that carry mountains a grain at a time. Lumi liked that. He tucked the thought under his collar, the way he tucked small happy things for later. As the night strolled on, Lumi's legs grew a little sore. He sat. He stood again. He circled once and found a comfortable place inside the ring of roots. He thought of his person asleep in the cottage. He thought of the children in the village, with their windows like honey and their breaths like tiny waves. He thought of the moon, which it asked him to see. I am here, he said to the sky, to the willow, to the wind, and to his own small beating heart. I am here, the silver thread shimmered. It left his paw and rose into the air, making a thin path from Lumi to the moon, like a ladder only moths could climb. It was not a chain. It was a promise. You could see Dot in the deepest part of night. A shape moved near the garden wall. Lumi almost barked. The shape was quick and slippy, like spilled ink learning to walk. Lumi did not bark. He breathed. He remembered not to fight, to notice. "Hello," he said, very softly. The shape paused. It had two eyes, golden and careful. Then it was gone over the wall, into the orchard. Lumi did not know it yet, but he had seen the edges of the shadow fox. Who would return? The moon drifted toward the high point of the sky, then began the slow roll toward morning. The fireflies rested. The cat curled into a smooth comma and dreamed of perfect commas. Somewhere, a leaf let go of a branch and did not fall. It floated, because the night was that kind of night. When the first blue line of dawn drew itself above the hills, Lumi felt a soft weight lift. The promise did not end. It settled deeper. The silver thread became a tiny mark on his paw, a moonprint no one else would notice, unless they knew how to look. "Thank you," said the moon, now growing pale with sleep. "You kept watch. You told brave stories. You found quiet in your counting. This is the beginning." Lumi's tail made a small, tired wag. "Will I be enough?" he asked, because small hearts sometimes ask big questions at dawn. "You are enough to be you," said the moon, "and you are not alone. The willow knows. The wind knows. The river knows. Listen tomorrow. Let the river of quiet deepen your ears. Dawn warmed the roofs. The village stretched. A rooster practiced being a trumpet." Lumi stepped out of the ring of roots and shook himself, sending a little glitter of night into the morning. He looked up once more. "Good night, good friend," he said to the moon, who was already folding itself into the brighter sky. "I will be here when you return." He trotted back to the cottage. His paws were sore, but his chest felt wide, as if it had learned a bigger breath. He curled on the mat by the door. Sleep came quickly, like a hug that knows your name. As he drifted, he could still hear the far song of water, the river humming a promise he would learn to understand. The puppy who guarded the moon slept, and the day turned its pages quietly, saving a ribbon for night. ****. The day passed like a warm loaf of bread. Lumi woke, stretched, and ate his breakfast of crunchy kibble. His person gave him a pat on the head, not knowing that Lumi had guarded the moon all night. Puppies often do secret things, and people never guess. All day, Lumi's eyes blinked slowly. He was tired, but in a proud way, the kind of tired that feels golden inside. He napped in the sun, paws twitching as if he were running in his dreams. And always, in the corner of his mind, he kept a thought. Tonight, I must keep watch again. When evening came, the sky turned the color of ripe plums. The village lights began to twinkle, one window at a time. The moon rose carefully, as if it remembered Lumi's promise. Its glow was still soft, but stronger than before. Lumi padded back to the willow tree. The circle of roots waited for him, a nest of guardianship. He stepped inside. His paw still held the faint mark of silver, like a secret badge. "I am here," he whispered. The willow rustled, low and kind. "Welcome back, little watcher." The fireflies stirred. One lit up near his ear, then another, until the meadow sparkled as if someone had spilled a jar of tiny lanterns. Lumi wagged his tail. Counting them would be part of his work again. Then, a breeze curled down from the hilltop. It was the wine guide. This time it smelled of pine needles and cool stone. "You came?" the wind said, circling him. "The first night was good. Tonight, you will learn listening." "Listening?" Lumi tilted his head. "Yes," said the wind. "Seeing is strong, but listening is deeper. To listen is to let the world place a story in your paws. Tonight, you will meet the river of quiet." Lumi's ears perked. He remembered the song he had heard faintly before dawn. Now, the sound returned distant but clear, like a lullaby sewn into the air. He wanted to follow. "Not yet," said the willow. "Wait until the shadows stir." The river calls when the night is ready. So Lumi waited. He counted fireflies. 1, 2, 3. He breathed slow and steady. The moon above seemed calmer now, its light a round, steady bowl. Then the first shadow crept forward. It looked like a tall hat wobbling in the grass. Lumi did not bark. He remembered the moon's teaching, not to fight, but to notice. "Hello," Lumi said. His voice was calm. "Would you like to hear something quiet?" The shadow tilted. Lumi listened inside himself. He remembered another story. Once, he began, "I heard my person cry. It was a sound softer than rain. I did not know what to do, so I curled at her feet. I did not make noise. I only listened." Her hand came down and touched my fur. The crying became smaller. Sometimes, listening is the strongest way to help. The shadow wavered. It shrank, folded, and slipped back into the grass, no longer greedy for the moon's light. Lumi felt the silver thread on his paw glow again. The wine guide whispered, "Good, you listened to yourself. Now, listen outward." The faraway hum grew stronger. Lumi stepped outside the circle of roots. His paws carried him down the meadow path, soft with dew. The fireflies floated after him, like friendly lanterns dot through the orchard, past the sleeping sheep, down to the hollow where the earth dipped. He found it the river of quiet. It was narrow, not grand. Its water moved gently, a sheet of glass that carried the stars like boats. Lumi stepped close. The river's voice was unlike any sound he had heard. It was soft, but full, like 1,000 whispers braided into one. He bent his ears low, letting the song fill him. The river spoke without words. "Listen, little one. Not all shadows are enemies. Some are only lost. To guide them, you must hear what they hunger for. Listen, and you will know their thirst." Lumi closed his eyes. He heard the scratch of a cricket's leg, the creak of a barn beam, the sigh of the grass. Beneath it all, the steady flow of the river. And beneath that something more, the heartbeat of the night itself. He opened his eyes. The moon's reflection trembled in the water. A new shadow stretched across it, a larger one, long and sly, with edges sharp like ears. Golden eyes blinked in the dark. The shadow fox. Lumi's fur bristled, but he did not bark. He breathed. He listened. The river hummed stronger, as if to say, "Steady now. The test begins." The fox's shadow leaned toward the water. The moon's light bent. For the first time, Lumi felt the promise on his paw tighten. Not heavy, but urgent. "I am here," he whispered to himself. His tail was low, but it did not tuck. His chest was small, but it stood tall. The first watch had begun. And this time, the night was watching him to dot asterisk asterisk. The night was cool and deep. Lumi stood by the river of quiet, his paws damp from the grass, his eyes fixed on the trembling silver water. The shadow fox lingered at the edge, golden eyes glowing like to lanterns. Its body was smoke and curve, shape and not shape, but the hunger in its stare was real. Lumi's heart thumped, fast at first, then steadier, as he remembered the river's song. "Listen," it told him. "Do not rush. Do not fear. Let the quiet carry you." The shadow fox leaned closer to the river. Its outline rippled across the moon's reflection, stretching sharp claws of darkness toward the shining disk. The moon's light dimmed, just a little, as though a thin veil had been pulled across it. Lumi swallowed, but he did not bark. He let his ears sink low, his breathing slow. He listened, and when he listened, he heard something unexpected. Beneath the fox's shadowy growl, there was another sound, a small, hollow ache, like the cry of a lonely flute. It was not anger. It was not cruelty. It was emptiness. "You are hungry," Lumi whispered. The shadow fox froze. Its golden eyes flicked toward him. "You want the moon's light because you feel dark inside," said Lumi. His voice trembled, but he kept it soft. "But shadows cannot eat light. Light is not food. Light is for sharing." The fox tilted its head. Its ears twitched, long and thin. The river of quiet rippled. The current curled around Lumi's paws, cool and steady, and the water hummed again. Tell your truth. The quiet will carry it. So Lumi told a story. Once, he said, I lost my favorite toy. It was a red ball, round and soft. I searched under the porch, behind the chair, inside my blanket. I could not find it. My heart felt heavy, as if I had swallowed a stone. I thought I would never play again. Then, one day, I saw a butterfly. I chased it across the yard. I laughed with my paws, not with my ball. And I learned that joy can come in many shapes. The red ball was gone, but joy was still here. The shadow fox's golden eyes flickered. Its claws pulled back from the water. You do not need to steal the moon, Lumi said gently. The world has other joys waiting for you. For a moment, the fox's body thinned, like fog touched by dawn. The moon brightened, its reflection glowing stronger on the river's surface. But then the fox growled low. Its shape thickened again, curling like smoke into a tighter knot. We will meet again, it seemed to say without words. Its tail lashed, then it melted into the orchard's shadows, gone but not forgotten. The river calmed. The stars drifted peacefully across its back, as though nothing had happened. Lumi exhaled. His chest felt both small and big at once, like a tiny drum learning to play a steady beat. You listened well, said the wine guide, curling around him. You heard the hunger inside the shadow. That is the first step to guiding it. Lumi sat, his paws damp and cool. It was hard, he admitted. My heart was loud, but the quiet helped me here. That is what quiet does, said the river, humming. It does not erase the loud. It gives it space to soften. The willow's voice drifted down from the hillside. Little one, you are learning to be brave not by barking, but by breathing. Lumi wagged his tail once, slow and thoughtful. He stepped back into the circle of roots, curling inside it like a guardian curled inside a dream. Above him, the moon shone steady, its light no longer flickering. The night stretched onward, deep and calm. The fireflies blinked their rhythm. The river sang its song. Lumi rested, but his ears stayed open, ready for the next story the shadows might bring. And somewhere, not far away, the shadow fox's golden eyes still watched. Night in the meadow was deeper than ever before. The stars stretched like spilled salt across the sky, and the moon floated higher, a pale guardian lantern above the world. Lumi, the little puppy with the silver thread mark on his paw, sat within the circle of willow roots, his ears pricked, his chest rising and falling with steady breaths. He had already learned to see and to listen, but tonight, he would learn something harder, how to face what truly frightened him. For the shadow fox had returned. It did not creep like the thin shadows from before. It did not slip like a ribbon between fence posts or curl under benches. No, the shadow fox walked tall, deliberate, and proud. Its shape stretched from the orchard to the river, long legs smooth as smoke, a tail sharp as a scythe of darkness. Its golden eyes burned like two coals, steady and watchful, fixed on the moon above. Lumi felt his fur rise along his back. His heart thumped so loudly, he feared the fox would hear it. But he remembered the river of quiet song, and he let the river's rhythm guide his breath. In, slow as the tide. Out, gentle as a whisper. The wine guide curled down from the hillside, carrying the cool scent of pine. This is the test, little guardian, it murmured. The fox is cunning. It does not hunger for stories alone. It hungers for the very light that warms the world. The willow creaked, leaves rustling like 100 quiet hands. Stand steady, Lumi. Remember, to guard is not to fight, but to hold fast to the truth. Lumi nodded. His tail did not wag this time. It rested low, but it did not tuck. He placed one paw on the silver mark, as though the promise etched there could remind him he was not alone. The shadow fox approached the river bank. Its paws did not splash. They slid across the water like ink spilling into paper. When it spoke, its voice was not growl or bark. It was smoother, slyer, like velvet stretched to thin. "Little dog," said the fox, "you guard a treasure far too big for you. The moon's light is vast. You are small. Give it to me, and I will keep it safe. I am Shadow. Shadow belongs to the night more than fur or paws or wagging tails." Hand over the moon. Lumi's ears flattened. His chest quivered, but he spoke, soft and steady. "The moon did not ask you. It asked me." The fox laughed, and the laugh was like branches snapping in a storm. "Asked you? You are nothing but a pup. You cannot climb mountains. You cannot chase hawks. You cannot even howl strong enough for the stars to hear. How will you keep the moon safe when I can swallow it whole?" The river hummed louder, a steady heartbeat beneath the fox's words. Lumi leaned into the sound. He did not shout back. He did not bare his teeth. Instead, he told a story, as the moon had taught him. Once, he said, "I was left alone on the porch. My person went inside. The door closed. I thought I had been forgotten. I felt small, smaller than a pebble. I cried, but then I looked at the sky. The moon was there. It stayed, even when no one else did. I learned then that being small does not mean being nothing. Even the smallest can keep company with the biggest light." The fox paused. Its golden eyes narrowed. The edges of its body flickered, as if uncertain. But then it stretched taller, looming over the willow. "Stories are tricks," hissed the fox. "Words are wind. Light is power, and power belongs to me." It leapt. Its shadow stretched toward the moon, claws raking the sky. The moon dimmed, flickering as though a cold hand smothered its face. "No," Lumi barked. His voice cracked the night. He did not bark to frighten, but to call. The silver mark on his paw glowed bright, casting a thread of light that shot upward, connecting him to the moon like a shining leash. The shadow fox snarled. Its tail whipped, striking the river. The water shuddered, but instead of scattering, it glowed, thousands of ripples turning silver. The river of quiet raised its song, low and mighty, filling the meadow with hums that steadied Lumi's heart. "Listen," the river said, its voice woven into every drop. The fox shouts of power, but beneath its hunger is emptiness. "Hear it." Lumi closed his eyes. He listened, deeper than before. Beneath the fox's snarl, beneath its thunderous steps, he heard it again, that hollow ache, that flute-like cry of loneliness. He opened his eyes. His fear did not vanish, but it bent into courage. "You are lonely," Lumi whispered. The fox froze mid-snarl. "You chase the moon," Lumi continued, "because you believe if you swallow it, you will not feel alone. But shadows are not alone. They belong to every stone, every tree, every leaf that stands under light. You are already part of the night." The fox trembled. Its golden eyes flickered like candle flames in a draft. The willow spoke next, its branches swaying. "Lumi speaks true. Shadow fox, you have a place, not above the night, but within it." The wine guide swirled, carrying the scent of earth and sky. Balance is not one devouring the other. It is light and dark breathing together. The fox growled, lower this time. It sank back, its body loosening like smoke after rain. Yet still it lingered, tail twitching. "I do not want to belong. I want to rule." Lumi's ears perked. He thought carefully. He remembered another story. Once, he said softly, "I found a bone in the yard. I wanted it all to myself. I growled when another dog came close. I buried it. I guarded it. But then I felt no joy. My belly was not full. My paws were not busy. The bone was mine, but I was empty. One day, I shared it. We chewed together, and I laughed. I learned that to share is to grow, but to hoard is to shrink." The shadow fox wavered. Its tail drooped. For a heartbeat, its golden eyes dimmed to amber, softer, sadder. But then it lashed its tail again, fiercer. "You think your small tails can chain me? I am older than rivers. I was born when the first candle cast its first shadow. I will not be soothed by puppy stories." It lunged again, this time not at the moon, but at Lumi. Its smoky jaws snapped, golden eyes blazing. Lumi ducked, paws skidding in the grass. His chest burned with fear, but he held the silver thread tight. The moon above cried out in a shimmer of light. A tear of silver fell, splashing into the river. Where it landed, the water brightened into a glowing drop of the moon's teardrop. The fox paused, eyes locked on the glowing jewel of light. Its hunger grew wild, twisting its shadowy body into knots. Lumi panted. His heart beat like a drum, but he stood tall. "That teardrop is not for you," he said. The fox snarled. "Then it is for no one." It leapt toward the river, claws outstretched. But the river rose. Water curved like arms, lifting the teardrop high, away from the fox's grasp. "Not yours," sang the river. The willow's branches swept low, blocking the fox's path. "Not yours," whispered the leaves. The wine guide roared, sweeping around Lumi like a shield. "Not yours," it thundered. And Lumi, small, trembling, but unbroken, barked once more, his voice sharp as truth. "Not yours." The silver thread blazed. Light burst from his paw, striking the fox's chest. The shadow howled, not in pain, but in fury, unraveling into ribbons of smoke. Its golden eyes blinked, then vanished into the night. Silence fell. The meadow glowed with moonlight, steady and whole. The teardrop drifted gently into Lumi's paws, warm as a heartbeat. He cradled it carefully. The moon's voice spoke from above, weary but kind. "Thank you, Lumi. You have faced the fox. You have guarded not with claws, but with courage and care. The teardrop is yours to keep until I am strong again." Lumi bowed his head. He felt tears prick his eyes, though he did not know why. He was only a little puppy, yet tonight he had stood against a shadow older than time. The willow rustled a lullaby. The river hummed softer now, content. The wine guide curled around him like a blanket. Lumi placed the moon's teardrop at his paws. It glowed, lighting the roots in gentle silver. He curled beside it, weary but proud. His promise was still strong, stitched into his heart like a ribbon of light. And though the shadow fox had fled, its echo still lingered in the night. Its hunger had not ended. It would return. But Lumi knew now that courage was not the absence of fear. Courage was breathing through fear, telling truths to shadows, and standing steady even when small. He closed his eyes. Above him, the moon shone brighter. Within him, the quiet river flowed. Around him, the world whispered, "Well done." Lumi slept. And the shadow fox, far away in the deepest dark, licked its wounds and plotted its return. Night folded itself gently over the village, soft as a quilt sewn from shadows and stars. In the meadow, the willow tree leaned low, its branches whispering secrets to the grass. The river of quiet sang softly, carrying silver ripples across its back. And in the circle of roots, little Lumi lay curled beside a glowing jewel. The moon's teardrop. It pulsed with light, slow and calm, as though it had a heartbeat of its own. Sometimes it glowed brighter, like a lantern lifted high. Other times it dimmed, as if sighing. Lumi watched it with wide eyes. His paws itched to nudge it, but he kept still, sensing its fragility. The moon above was weaker now. Without the teardrop, it looked pale and tired, as though the climb across the sky had drained it. Yet when its gaze met Lumi's, it seemed to smile. "You have kept me safe, little one," the moon whispered. "Now you hold a piece of me. Guard it well, for it carries both my strength and my sorrow." Lumi pressed his paw against the ground, feeling the silver mark pulse. "I will guard it," he said softly. "I promise." The wine guide circled down, smelling of cedar and cool rain. "The teardrop is more than light," it said. "It is memory. Within it are stories the moon has carried for countless nights. Songs sung by children, wishes whispered into pillows, secrets spoken into darkness. All are kept here, waiting." Lumi tilted his head. "Stories?" "Yes," said the willow, its voice a hush of leaves. "Every tear the moon has shed is for the world it loves. Every teardrop is a library." Lumi's ears pricked. He crept closer, nose brushing the glow. The teardrop hummed. At its touch, Lumi's mind filled with visions. He saw a little girl pressing her hands together, wishing her sick brother would heal. He saw a boy whisper into the night, asking for courage on his first day of school. He saw a grandmother hum a lullaby to her grandchild, her eyes shining with love. All of these wishes, all of these songs, were tucked inside the light. Lumi whimpered softly. So many stories, so many hearts, the river of quiet rippled. Yes, that is why the shadow fox wants it, not only for power, but to drink these stories and erase them. A shadow that swallows memory becomes emptier still. Guard the teardrop, Lumi. Guard it until dawn. Lumi puffed out his chest. His heart still trembled, but his promise held steady. I will. The night grew deeper. Stars blinked like watchful eyes. Crickets chirped, owls hooted, and the meadow breathed. Lumi kept his gaze fixed on the teardrop, but guarding it was not simple. Shadows gathered at the edge of the field, whispering, swirling. They were not fierce like the fox, but sly, curling into shapes. A hand, a cloak, a doorway. They leaned close, murmuring temptations. Let us touch it, hissed one shadow. Just a nibble, wheedled another. We are only small. What harm could we do? Lumi stood tall as a puppy can stand. His voice was soft but steady. No, this light is not mine to give. It belongs to the moon, and the moon asked me to guard it. The shadows hissed, swirling tighter. Lumi remembered what he had learned. To fight was not his way. To notice, to listen, to tell stories that was his strength taught. So he spoke. When I was very small, I wanted to chew my person's slipper. It smelled of comfort and love. I thought one bite would be enough. But when I bit, the slipper tore, and my person was sad. I learned then that not everything we want is ours to take. Some things must stay whole to keep joy alive. The shadows wavered. One by one, they softened, melting back into the grass. The teardrop pulsed brighter. As if thanking him, hours passed. Lumi's eyes grew heavy. His paws ached. Guarding was not easy work for such a small pup. But each time he faltered, he remembered the moon's pale face, the river's song, the willow's wisdom, the wind's embrace. He remembered the children's wishes inside the teardrop, too, and he stood firm. Then, without warning, the night cracked out from the orchard, golden eyes gleamed. The shadow fox had returned, it slinked forward, smoother than mist, sharper than fear. Its body stretched long, tail swishing, claws clicking softly on the earth. It fixed its gaze on the glowing teardrop. So, it purred, the moon has bled, and you hold its heart. Little guardian, step aside. Give me the jewel, and I will let you keep your fur and bones. Lumi's heart thundered. His body shook, but he stepped in front of the teardrop, his paw firm on the ground. No, the fox's eyes narrowed. Do you think your tiny stories can stop me forever? I am hunger. I am emptiness. I will swallow that light, and then there will be no more wishes, no more dreams. Only silence. Lumi swallowed hard. Then he spoke. You are wrong. Silence is not nothing. Silence is a song waiting to be sung. Quiet is not empty. Quiet is full. The river taught me that. You do not need to steal the teardrop to have meaning. You only need to listen. The fox snarled. Its body flickered, torn between fury and uncertainty. For a moment, its golden eyes dimmed again, showing the lonely cry within. But then it lunged, jaws wide, straight for the teardrop. Lumi barked not fierce, but strong. The silver mark on his paw blazed. The teardrop answered, shining brighter, spilling waves of light across the meadow. The willow's branches swept low, shielding him. The river roared, its quiet turning mighty. The wine guide howled, circling in a storm of pine and rain. Together, they stood. The shadow fox struck the barrier of light and leaves and water. It shrieked, unraveling at the edges. Its golden eyes burned with rage, but also with grief. It stumbled back, smoke curling from its chest. You will not hold it forever, it hissed. I will return, and when I do, the moon will fall. With that, it vanished into the deepest dark, leaving only silence behind. The teardrop floated into the air, glowing brighter than ever. It drifted upward, back to the moon, stitching itself into the pale face above. The moon brightened, strong again, round and calm. "Thank you, Lumi," said the moon, voice gentle as milk. "You have guarded my heart. You have carried my sorrow and my songs. You have proven that even the smallest can keep the greatest promise." Lumi wagged his tail, tired but joyful. His eyes closed slowly. He curled in the circle of roots, bathed in silver glow. The willow whispered, "Rest now, little guardian." The river hummed, "Dream now, storekeeper." The wind sighed, "Breathe now, brave heart." And above, the moon shone whole again, watching over the world it loved. Lumi slept, his promise still shining on his pod. Far away, in the deepest shadows, the fox licked its wounds and waited, for the longest night was yet to come. The night arrived early, as if it had been waiting behind the hills all day. It slipped over the village like a deep blue coat. Windows glowed, kettles sang, children yawned and hugged their pillows. Far above, the moon rose slow and ready, bright again, after its teardrop had returned. Lumi stood under the willow. The circle of roots was cool beneath his paws. The silver mark on his paw shimmered, steady as a heartbeat. He breathed in the soft smell of the meadow. He listened to the crickets with their tiny violins. He watched the fireflies gather, lanterns with wings. "The longest night," whispered the wine guide, sliding down the hill with a scent of pine and rain. "It comes once in a great while, long and deep. The shadows will test their reach." The willow lowered its branches, as if to hug the ground. "Stand within the circle, little guardian. Remember what you have learned." "I will," Lumi said. He felt small, but not alone. He had the willow, the wind, the river, the fireflies, and the moon. He had his promise. He had the stories in his chest. He stepped into the ring of roots. He set his paw on the silver mark, as if greeting an old friend. Above him, the moon shone, not fierce, not proud, simply present, a calm lantern in the dark. The river of quiet hummed from the hollow below. The sound floated up like a lullaby that knew the way to every window and every ear. The night stretched. It grew and grew, as if time was taffy being pulled by careful hands. Stars crowded close. The village fell still, and from the orchard, to golden eyes opened. The shadow fox had come back. It did not speak at first. It walked along the edge of the meadow, tail like a brush painting darkness on the grass. It watched the moon. It watched the river. It watched Lumi. Its hunger was quieter, but deeper, like a well with no bottom. Finally, it stopped. Its voice was low, almost gentle. "Little dog," the fox said, "this night is long. Longer than your breath, longer than your promises, longer than your courage. Give me the moon, and I will make the night short again." Lumi listened. He remembered. Do not rush. Do not fight. Notice. Breathe. Tell the truth. "You are wrong," he said softly. "Courage can be longer than night. Courage grows when it is shared." The fox's ears flicked. "Shared? Yes," Lumi said. He looked at the willow. He looked at the wind. He looked down the hill at the river. He looked at the meadow full of blinking fireflies. "We share it." The wine guide turned in a slow circle, making a ring of moving air. The willow spread its branches like to wide arms. The river of quiet let its hum swell. The fireflies gathered into a bright, soft crown above the circle of roots. The moon bent its light down, gentle as milk. "We are ready," Lumi said. His voice was small, but it did not shake. The shadow fox stepped closer. "You speak of sharing," it said, "but sharing cannot fill a hollow that has no bottom." Lumi tilted his head. "Then we do not try to fill it. We give it a shore." The fox blinked. "A shore. A place where the hollow can rest," Lumi said. "A place where it can be what it is, without hurting what it touches." The river of quiet rippled. He understands. The willow rustled. Listen now. The shadow fox lifted its head. Its golden eyes shone brighter. If you will not give the moon, little dog, it said, I will take the village instead. One window at a time, one dream at a time. I will sip the light from every home and leave only my empty dark. It turned its muzzle toward the village. The windows trembled. Lumi's heart thumped once, hard. He felt fear like a cold wind in his ribs. No, he whispered. He stepped out of the circle. The willow creaked. Careful. The wine guide brushed his ear. Steady. Lumi nodded. He walked toward the shadow fox, paws quiet in the grass. When he was close enough to see the sharp line of the fox's cheek and the soft line of its throat, he sat down. He did not stare at the golden eyes. He looked instead at the fox's chest, where the breathing lived. He breathed with it in, out, in, out. At first, the breaths did not match. Lumi was small. The fox was long. But slowly, the river's hum rose, and the wind drew near, and the willow sighed, and the breaths began to find each other. Not perfect, not the same, just close enough to hear. The shadow fox stared. Its tail swished. Its ears twitched. It tried to look bored. It tried to look fierce. But very slowly, the fur along its shoulders settled. What are you doing? The fox asked. Listening, said Lumi. I am giving your breath a friend. The fox scoffed, but no sound came out. Its body flickered, not with rage this time, but with confusion. Lumi told a story, quiet and true. Once, I was so afraid of thunder that I hid under the bed. The noise was too big. My heart ran fast. My paws shook. Then my person tapped a drum. Bum bum, bum bum. It matched my heart. We listened together. The thunder was still loud, but I was not alone inside it. The fireflies pulsed. The wind surrendered its swirl for a moment and simply rested. The river kept the beat. The shadow fox's golden eyes dimmed a shade. Less coal and more candle. It looked past Lumi at the village. The windows were steady now, lit with soft honey light. What do I have? The fox asked, almost like a pup that had lost its toy. If I do not take light, what is left for me? Lumi stood and took a step closer. He could smell a wild, clean scent on the fox, like fern and cold stone. You have places to rest, he said. You have contrast. You have shape. You make room for stars to be seen. You make lamps glow brighter because you stand behind them. You are part of every picture we love. The willow whispered, yes. The wind said, yes. The river sang, yes. The fox's tail lowered. It looked at its paws, long and black as ink. But I am still lonely, it said. Its voice was not velvet now. It was rough, like bark. Everywhere I go, I feel like missing. I feel like the part that is not there. Lumi's ears tilted in. Then you must meet the parts that are there. Not to swallow them, to sit beside them. How? The fox's eyes were wide and gold and tired. Come, said Lumi. He turned and walked toward the river of quiet. He did not check to see if the fox followed. He trusted. He trusted the river. He trusted the willow. He trusted the wind. He trusted the moon and his own small steps. Behind him, the shadow fox moved. Not fast, not fierce. Careful. At the river bank, the stars rested on dark water like lily pads of light. The moon's reflection was whole. The current hummed a song with no words and every word. Lumi stood at the edge. River, he said, here is the fox. The river's surface shivered. I hear it, said the river. Shadow not as hunger. Shadow as guest. The fox looked down. It saw itself next to the moon, not over it. It saw its long shape and the way the light drew its outline. It saw that the outline was a kind of drawing, a beautiful one. It is. Me, the fox whispered. Not the eater. The frame. Yes, said Lumi. He wagged once. The frame that helps the picture say what it means. The pause that helps a song take a breath. The fox stared at the water a long time. The longest night waited. It did not hurry them. Finally, the fox lifted its head. And if I forget? It asked. If the hunger comes again, then we remind you, said the willow. Gently, we breathe with you, said the wind. Slowly, we hold your place, said the river. Kindly, and I tell stories, said Lumi. As many as it takes. The shadow fox closed its eyes. Its sides moved in a long breath. The golden eyes opened again. Not fierce, but clear. Show me, the fox said. So they did. They walked to the nearest cottage. Light glowed in the window. A child had fallen asleep with a book on the blanket. A toy rabbit lay on the floor. The fox stood at the gate and did not cross it. Here, said Lumi, stand behind the rosebush. You will make the window seem warmer. The fox tried. Its body stretched along the wall, a soft gray shape beneath the sill. The window light looked deeper. The stars above it looked closer. Inside, the child turned in sleep and smiled. They went to the barn. A horse shifted, hooves tapping once. The fox stood beside a lamp on the post. The lamp's circle grew gentle, not harsh. The barn cat opened one eye, decided all was well, and curled tighter. They crossed to the hill. The moon hung low, patient. The fox stood at the edge of a snowless drift, a dark brushstroke under a silver sky. The meadow looked like a painting. The painting looked like a lullaby. The lullaby felt like home. The fox did not speak. It watched. It breathed. It learned how not to take and how still to belong. Back at the willow, the circle of roots waited. Lumi stepped inside again. The fireflies wore their crown. The river sang. The wind laid down beside him like a friendly scarf. The shadow fox stood just outside the circle. May I rest here? It asked. Its voice was a little shy. Yes, said the willow. Yes, said the wind. Yes, said the river. Yes, said Lumi. But not inside the ring tonight. Beside it. Close, not crossing. The fox nodded. I understand. It curled in the grass. Its tail wrapped around its feet. Its golden eyes dimmed to amber, then to soft brown, then to a quiet not dark. It listened to the river and matched its breath. It watched the moon and did not reach. Time moved like a slow boat on a wide lake. The longest night held steady. It did not break the world. It held it. Shadows tested the edges of the meadow. Thin ones, wobbly ones. They leaned forward and then leaned back, like waves that forgot their step. Lumi noticed them and breathed. He told small stories, true ones. He told of the day he learned to wait for his bowl without barking. He told of the morning he took one careful step on ice and then another. He told of the time he got lost behind the shed and sat still until someone found him. The shadows softened. They settled into proper places, under benches, along paths, beneath the fence rails. Not gone. Home. The moon slid across the sky, slow and sure. At its highest, it paused, as if to look down and bless the ground and all on it. Lumi wagged once. The river hummed lower. The wind tucked itself, content. The willow creaked a lullaby that seemed to know every name in the village. The longest night went on, but it did not feel heavy anymore. It felt wide. It felt like there was room enough for everything. Near dawn, the shadow fox lifted its head. Little dog, it said, I feel different, not full, not empty. Something else. Balanced, said the river. Held, said the willow. Met, said the wind. Home, said Lumi. The fox stood. It stepped to the edge of the circle and lowered its head to Lumi. Not a bow, just a hello that had learned some gentleness. Thank you, said the fox. For your breath, for your stories, for the shore. You're welcome, said Lumi. He touched his nose to the fox's whiskers. They tickled. He giggled. The fox did not mind. The horizon softened. The first suggestions of morning brushed the far hills. Not light yet, but a promise of light. The moon felt it too. It began its slow walk toward the place where it would slip from view. Before it went, the moon spoke. Little guardian, it said, you have kept the world steady through its deepest dark. You have taught the night to breathe with itself. You have shown a shadow where to rest. I am proud. Lumi's tail thumped the roots. He felt warmth move through his chest like tea. I am small, he said. The moon glowed. So is a seed. And look what a seed can do. A thread of silver unwound from the sky and floated down. It was the same kind of thread that had touched Lumi's nose on the first night. It looped around his silver palm arc and tied itself into a neat, shining knot that you could see and not see. A gift, said the moon. Not a chain, a ribbon of remembering. Thank you, said Lumi. His voice was very quiet. He was suddenly sleepy. Sleepy the way you are after you have finished something that mattered. The shadow fox looked at the ribbon and did not reach. Will you watch again tomorrow? It asked. Yes, said Lumi. Watching is what I do. But you will help. By resting where you belong. By making space for the light to be kind. The fox nodded. It turned its face toward the village, and the hills, and the river, and the willow, and the sky. It breathed in. It breathed out. The breath did not sound empty. The moon lowered. The stars blinked away, one by one, like candles being cupped and saved. The river song thinned to a hum. The wind stretched like a cat. The willow shook out its leaves softly, as if straightening a blanket. Dawn drew a faint line, pink and gold, across the far field. Birds began to write tiny songs in the air. A rooster practiced again. A window opened. Someone yawned. Someone else laughed, not knowing why. Perhaps because the night had felt kind. Lumi stepped out of the circle. He looked at the fox. Good night, he said, because for the moon and for him, day was sleep. Good work. Good night, said the shadow fox. It melted into the hedge, but not to hide. To rest, Lumi trotted to the cottage. The mat by the door looked softer than clouds. He circled once, twice, 3 times because 3 is a nice number and curled up. He felt the ribbon on his paw. It felt like a promise that remembered him back. He closed his eyes. He could still hear the river, even though it was quiet now. He could still smell the wind, even though it had gone to play above the roofs. He could still feel the willow, even though he had left the circle. He could still see the moon, even though it had slipped beyond sight. None of it was gone. All of it was held. Lumi slept. He dreamed of counting fireflies. He dreamed of small stories that became big truths. He dreamed of a fox with golden eyes learning to be a good shadow. He dreamed of windows that glowed like honey and did not fear the night. The day turned its pages. People stirred. Bread baked. Cats stretched. Somewhere, a child tied a ribbon to a stick and called it a flag. Somewhere else, a grandmother hummed a tune with no words and every word. Wishes were made and tucked into pockets for later. The world was busy and gentle at the same time. Evening would come again. It always does. The moon would lift its lantern face and look for its guardian. The willow would bend. The wind would curl. The river would hum. The fireflies would gather with their tiny hello dash lights. And Lumi would wake. He would trot to the circle. He would place his paw with a silver ribbon where the roots make a ring. He would breathe in and breathe out. He would watch. He would listen. He would tell the stories that make shadows remember where to rest. Because that is what a brave puppy does. He does not make the night shorter. He makes it kinder. He does not chase away every shadow. He helps them find a place. He does not hold the moon alone. He holds it with everything that loves it. And the world, which is very big and also very small, sleeps better because of him. The puppy who guarded the moon wagged his tail in his sleep, and far above, the moon smiled and went on its way. The end.